Hello YouTube, what is up? This is Brandino Rules, aka Debingus, here with a full guide to everything about Sepulcher, everything you could ever want to know. If you don't know me, I have been doing my quest for an Untrimmed Agility Cape series where I am constantly running Sepulcher, working my way towards my first ever 99 in Agility. We're currently at 96, and by now I'd consider myself an absolute master of Hallowed Sepulcher, so I figured I would make a guide going over all of the ins and outs that I've learned. Here's a quick look at my statistics. I've done a lot of Sepulcher, as you can see. And I guess we'll go ahead and get started by talking about some of the things you need to know about the minigame itself. Alrighty, so Hallowed Sepulcher is a minigame unlocked by finishing the Sins of the Father quest line, which is a Grandmaster level quest, and it will take you some requirements. I'll put the requirements here on screen. But now, once you're at Hallowed Sepulcher, it is here, it's up in Darkmire. Let's see if I can bring you guys there. Hallowed Sepulcher is over here in Darkmire. You can teleport here with one of the talismans, the Darkmire Medallion, and run all the way up north and then east over here to the Hallowed Sepulcher, which you'll just walk through some doors and be where I'm standing now in the lobby. Next up, so Hallowed Sepulcher is an agility minigame where you're running through a bunch of traps and looting some coffins. And in those coffins you can get a whole host of loot that is actually good money, and you'll also get hallowed tokens, which are these right here, or hallowed marks, which you can spend to buy a bunch of useful things, and I'll go through them really quick. Hallowed crystal shards only cost 1 mark per, and they are one-click teleports to the Hallowed Sepulcher, so you should buy a few of these if you want to leave and come back really easily. Hallowed tokens are things that will extend the amount of time you get on your current floor. I think it adds a minute, maybe 2 minutes to your current timer. You don't really need these unless you're concerned about not making it. I suggest when you're learning a new floor, maybe bring a couple of them, just so that you make it to the end without failing. So these items right here are different things that will help you when you're doing the little challenges, I guess you can call them, before you get to the coffins where you'll get your loot. You'll always have to do one type of challenge, and that can be grappling across a gap, enchanting a portal, which the Hallowed Focus helps with. A Hallowed Symbol helps you with sacrificing vampire dust to braziers, and then you cross through and loot there. And then a Hallowed Hammer makes it so you'll never fail when building a bridge across a gap to get to another chest. These are relatively expensive. Let's see, 100 hallowed marks for that. I believe all of these cost 100 hallowed marks, and I guess I should let you know which I think is most important. I personally think the first thing you should go for is this hallowed ring, and what it does is it will make it so when you fail a trap, you won't take, or when you get hit by a trap, you won't take any damage, and you'll get teleported back to the start. Now, what makes this so nice is not only that you're not taking damage, so you don't have to bring food if you're trying to learn, but it also makes the respawn animation about twice as fast, so you can reset, and it saves you a lot of time in the long run. So I recommend getting the ring as soon as you can. The rest of them, get in whatever order you want. I think Hallowed Grapple and Hallowed Symbol are good early on, especially the Hallowed Symbol, because it makes it so sacrificing vampire dust to a brazier only costs 1 dust instead of 2, and dust is relatively expensive, or maybe even a little hard to come by if you're an iron or such. So get a Hallowed Symbol early is pretty good. Hallowed Focus, you'll never fail enchanting a portal. Grapple, never fail the grapple. It's not bad. If you don't have a Hallowed Grapple, you're going to need to bring a Myth Grapple. You're going to want to bring a Ceradomin item of any kind. A normal Holy Symbol will work. That way you can restore your energy at the end of each run. Bone Crossbow is better than a Rune Crossbow. I just don't have one currently, and I'm too lazy to buy it, just because it is the lightest weight crossbow. Other than that, you're going to want to wear full Graceful, and then other things you'll need when you're going into the Sepulcher are a hammer and a saw when trying to build bridges, and some nails and planks as well. You can look up the nails and planks, or I'll put them on the screen here, because different levels of nails and planks will work, but they also grant different amounts of XP. Other than that, you're going to need a crossbow and a Myth Grapple to get started, to cross the gaps that need you to swing on a grapple. Here in my rune pouch, I have airs, cosmic, natures, and lavas. They don't really need to be lavas, they can be fires, but Well, they're about the same price, so I might as well carry them. This is nice because the nature runes allow you to high out, because a lot of the loot you will get from these chests will be high alchable, so it helps save you some inventory space while you're running. I like to bring a stamina potion just in case I'm doing really poorly on traps and run out of run energy, or sometimes I just forget to restore my run energy. And then I bring anti-poisons. You can cure this in a lot of ways. Many people will tell you to bring, I don't even know what the book is called. There's a book that allows you to sacrifice some prayer points to cure your poison. You need these just because sometimes when you fail a coffin looting, you'll get poisoned, and yeah, it's not really a ton of damage, but I just don't like seeing my my health up here be green, so I bring anti-poisons. They're cheap, and I can cure my poison with them. Other than that, that is about all you will need. Some vampire dust if you're planning to loot braziers, or sacrifice to braziers to loot. And then that's about all you need to get started. One last thing to mention is this strange old lockpick. Costs about 100 grand, and you can use that. It makes you have a better chance of opening coffins without failing. It doesn't use any charges, so you'll only need one, and you may get more of them when you're looting the coffins themselves. Before you begin your sepulchering adventure, I highly recommend turning on your true tile. That is up here in tile indicators. You come into the settings, and you can come down here and turn on highlight true tile. I have that here. That's this little blue square that you can see beneath me. And what that does is it essentially shows you where your character actually is according to the game. That's why it's out ahead of me. When I'm sprinting, you'll see it skips a tile. That's how sprinting works in RuneScape. When you're sprinting, you move at 2 tiles per tick, versus when you're walking, you move at 1 tile per tick. You'll see my thing goes 1 by 1 by 1. This is important. You'll almost always be sprinting in Sepulcher. Well, hopefully always sprinting in Sepulcher. And this can be used because the skipped tile isn't actually stepped on by your character. This is only really useful in Sepulcher when it comes to the blue and yellow teleport tiles, because say there's a highlighted yellow teleport tile, 1 tile in front of me, and I click over it. If I'm sprinting, I'm just going to step right over it. I won't hit it, it won't teleport me back. So that is nice when you're running through the teleporter traps. So when you load into a new floor in Hallowed Sepulcher, there are 2 things that can happen. 1, you are the only person on that floor, and if that's the case, it's essentially generating a new instance of that floor, and because it is just generated, all of the traps are on a set interval. So it's traps that are on cycles, swords will get thrown right off the start, arrows get fired right off the start, things like that will all be at the same timings. Now that doesn't mean that like the arrow traps, which are random, are going to shoot the same pattern every time, but it does mean the swords will be thrown at the same time when you enter, and flame traps will be going at the same time when you enter, if you're always the only person on that floor. You can use this to your advantage to run through traps with 1 click. You know that it's safe because you're the only person and you realize that you're on that timing. I'll talk more about it when we get to traps that this matters for. There are a couple in particular on floor 3 and floor 4 that it's really nice to just know that you're the only person there, so you can get the good timings, is the way I like to see it, and run through essentially tick perfect. Now the other option is you get onto a floor where there is another person. They have started the instance, so their timings will likely be off, and these 1-click tick perfect methods won't really work. One last thing is I have a bunch of tiles marked when running Hallowed Sepulcher. I marked them all myself, didn't download anybody's pack, but I will put the link to mine in the description. That way you guys can import it. All you have to do that is come up here and right click on this globe icon and hit import, and then you should be able to import the link that I have in the description. To have my tile markers, I don't think they're by any means the best, but they help me along the way, and I'll be using them in my guide. Alright, here's my guide for the first path on floor 1. There are a couple paths that you can get on this floor. Not all floors have multiple paths, but some have 2, some have 3, some have 1. This is a long sword trap. As soon as you spawn, the sword will be too long for you to run all the way through, but there is this tile off on the side in front of this lion that you can run to, stop at, and wait for the sword to pass to get right through. Next up, we have fire traps. You're going to see a ton of these in the Sepulcher. They come out, you can look at these little icons on the floor. I think it's better than looking at the flames themselves. Look at the icons on the floor to know exactly which tiles they are spewing on. You can't run through this one all the way in 1 click, but you can run to where I am with 1 click. They're out for, I'm going to assume, is 2 ticks, and they go back in. What you want to do is wait till it's out. 1 tick, 2 tick, click through. That was not a great example. Here, I'll run back through for for you to know. If you want to be tick perfect, you kind of wait for it to be out for a second, click, and then you'll move immediately when the flames go down and be fine. So there you go, out, click, through. The timing is something that you will get used to as you get better at Sepulcher. It's really not difficult. You shouldn't be panicking about fire traps. They're in set patterns, so set cycles. Some of them have a lot more different patterns they can do than just that one, but that only has one cycle, and you're just pretty much clicking through. So you'll go through, come down. At this path, you have the option to build this bridge and go over and loot the coffin. I'm not going to do that for the sake of time here. And just like that, that is this path complete. Alright, here we are with another path on floor 1. I have some tiles marked here. This one starts with just a pretty long flame trap. You can run to either of these two tiles to be safe on this one. You'll always be safe on these two tiles. It's pretty easy. Get there and you can run all the way through. Get there, you can run all the way through. It only takes one stoppage to get through that flame trap. You don't need to stop twice, as long as you are pretty good on your timings. This is a simple sword trap. Like all the other sword traps, you just wait for it to have just been thrown or just have gotten back and you can run through. This flame spot has a couple safe tiles in the middle, but we don't need any of those. You just click right through on good timing, and that flame trap is gone. I think this is my preferred first floor path, not that I have much of a say in it, because it's really easy, not much challenge, not much stopping. You just run all the way through and you're done. As you can see on the left there is a grapple option to go across and loot this first floor coffin. But I don't even know if that's worth your time unless you're really just looking to get hollowed marks at the start of your Sepulcher adventure. Alright, so here is our third of 4 possible paths that you can get on floor 1. It's kind of annoying that there are 4 separate paths, because many of the other floors don't have that many. In fact, I don't think any of the other floors have 4. But you're going to come up to a decently long single arrow trap hallway here, and like the other arrow traps you've encountered, it's just one. Most of the time you can run through and not even have to look at them, to be honest, because you got a 1 in 3 shot of making it all the way through. Anyways, just dodge the arrows. That is not too bad, and you'll come up to this long flame hallway here. I don't have many tiles marked, but I'm going to mark now where I think you should be running to between every step. So wait for the first fire and run to this safe area here. These 3 tiles are safe, and you can do that easily in 1 click. Now after this one, you're going to want to run all the way up to this tile, or this tile here. These 3 are safe. I'll mark this and this also as being safe, just so you guys know if you take my tile pack. I'm going to wait for the flames, click on through, and run up here. This trap is not possible to do in less than 2 stoppages, so you need to stop there, stop here, and get through. There are some other places you can stop if you want to mess around with the timings, but that's the one I usually go with. It's pretty simple. Yeah, you'll get used to the timings of the flame traps and just run through to those tiles, and you should be through the first floor. We come down to the same spot we've come down to before with this grapple pillar on the left. Alright, here we have our 4th and final path that you can get on the first floor. This one you have a decent run up to your first trap here, which is just a long flame hallway where I already have some tiles marked. You can run to either of these 2 marked tiles. I like the one in the middle here just because it's pretty much at the exact halfway point of this trap. Stop for a second, click through, and you're through. You're going to come up to a sword trap immediately after, and much like the other sword traps, just wait for it to be thrown or wait for it to have just gotten back, and you are free to run through. On here to another long single arrow hallway. We've been over these before now at this point. I don't think there's much more to say. It's a single arrow trap, shouldn't be too difficult. Run down, you hop the ledge, and you're back down here where we've been before with the broken bridge, and that is floor 1 complete. At the end of each floor, you can come to these magic obelisks, and as long as you're wearing 1 Saradomin item, all you have to do is activate the magic obelisk, and you will fully restore your run energy before going down to the next floor. I don't recommend actually doing this after the first floor. You won't spend enough stamina to really be concerned, so it is a slight time waste if you go over and hit these. It's also notable that once you are on the final platform with the staircase and these obelisks, time no longer passes. Up at the top left, you can see here that it's paused. Here is this first path on floor 2. This one's pretty simple. This is an unfailable trap. You just run over and click the first step here, and you'll be going. You'll come up to your first arrow trap here, which this one's pretty simple. Only one of these guys will fire. You can watch them for the animation and easily dodge those to run through. Here's a big spinning sword trap. It's easy. All you have to do is click all the way through. Once you see it get thrown, you can follow it behind, or once it goes all the way back like this, right about now, you could click through and you'll beat the sword before it even gets thrown back out. Here you have an option to do a grapple across to loot that coffin. Again, I don't loot this higher floor because it's not really worth it for me. Going down the ladder, you'll come across some teleporters. Yellow teleporters, if they're lit up. If you step on one of the lit up yellow teleporters, it teleports you back. If you step on a blue lit up teleporter, it'll teleport you forward. So you really want to avoid yellows if you can, and just step on blues to get a little bit of a skip or a time boost. It's not too bad. You'll come up to more fire traps here. This one is just like the one we had earlier on this floor. Simple, click through and wait, and then click through again. Alright, here we have the second of 4 possible routes in the second floor, and you're going to spawn into a long arrow trap here. It's again a single arrow trap, so it shouldn't be anything more difficult than the ones you saw on the first floor. You'll breeze right through that. We'll come up to some packs of teleporters. As you can see, I got teleported backwards. 2 of these teleport tiles will be active at any given time, but they pose no threat to you really. So I recommend just ignoring them for the most part. If you get teleported back, then oh well. And that just is right in front of this sword trap, which, much like any of the other sword traps we've seen to this point, all you have to do is click through whenever the sword's just been thrown or is just returning to the sword thrower. Here we'll come across a brazier where you can sacrifice your vampire dust to get to that coffin here. Heading down the staircase, we'll come to another arrow trap here. It's again a single arrow trap, nothing really to fear. You're going to run through, click away because it's trolling me, giving me arrows right where I'm walking. And just like that, there's this path done. Here is one of the instant cycles that I've been mentioning. You come down to floor 3, notice that you get this sword trap. You need to do this nearly instantly if you want to make it with the timing that I'm speaking of. As long as you come in and realize that this is the path that you've gotten on floor 2, you can immediately click through this sword trap and the timing will work out such that you will make it immediately and you don't have to wait for this. If you mess the timing up, you'll have to wait for the sword to come all the way back before you can run and make it. It pretty much will just lose you maybe 5 or so seconds. But you'll get good at noticing as soon as you get on the floor that this is the path you've gotten and just spam clicking all the way through immediately. So you'll come up to a grapple option here on the right if you want to go loot that coffin. That one's a little more tucked away, sometimes it's easy to miss. Just a random set of teleporter traps. A quick tip for this one is if you stand right here before you start running, right before this path of blue tiles in the middle, you click through and your character will never step on any of the yellow tiles. You notice all my my true tile was always on the blue tile or the path in between. It just works out that way, so it's kind of nice. You'll come up to this flame trap here, which has 2 options. One is to one-click all the way through it. If you have perfect timing, you can do that every time. Otherwise, if you messed your timing up a little bit, you can stop right here in the middle in line with this wolf statue, and you will also be safe. But let me show you the one-click. Fire out, and click. And I'm through. Easy enough. That one's pretty tight. It is a one-tick window, so you'll have to play around with that one to get used to it. Hopping down, you have one long sword trap here, and I noticed that it's out. I'm going to try to make it. I'm not going to. These are safe spots on the right. Might as well try because I'm not wasting any time if I don't. You know, if I don't try, I'm just standing there, so what's the point in not giving it a try to make it off to the safe spots? Obviously I didn't, but easy enough. Wait, other than that, it's just a normal sword trap. Okay, after a ton of resetting, I finally got the final path for floor 2 here. Which will spawn you right here in front of this decently long flame trap. And I'll go ahead here and mark some tiles for you guys when you're running and learning this yourself. You can run to either of these 2 tiles that I just marked right off the start here. I'll go for the long one just to show you that it's possible. One click, run all the way through. You're going to have to stop at least once in this trap. It doesn't matter if it's there or here. Stop on either of those 2 marked tiles and run through. We got a very simple single arrow trap here. Long hallway though, so make sure you're dodging the arrows as you run through. Line yourself up right here. This little strip is safe from the arrows. In this way, if you line up right here, you can one-click through and you'll step on all of the blue tiles and not have to worry about getting teleported backwards. Hit the brazier and loot the coffin if you would like. If not, we're heading down the stairs to the second part here. We get spawned with our camera in a wall, which is nice. And then we just have 3 more flame traps to beat. There's a ton of safe space in between these two, but you can't one-click run through all of them, so stop here in the middle, wait for this flame trap in front of you, click through. Easy enough. This trap you can click all the way through like that. If you just wait, click right before the flames go down, and you're all the way through this flame trap, no need to stop at all. That's the final path on floor 2. Moving on down to our first path on floor 3, here we have a double arrow trap where it shoots 2 at a time. It's really no different than the single arrow traps, you just gotta be a bit more reactive, a bit more ready. I'd recommend watching the statues because their animation to start up gives you plenty of time to react and get over to the tile you want. Be wary to not click too far in front of yourself. Say if I were to click over here, 2 arrows are coming at me. We're going to imagine that 2 arrows are coming at me down this lane right here, this tiles, and this tile's here, and I'm on the far right, but I need to get to the far left. Be careful not to click way too far up like this, because you'll see my character here, if I start this demonstration from a little further back, if my character, if I click up here, he'll run all the way straight as far as he can before he cuts over. And a lot of times, that is not enough time to get you by or over in time for the arrows. So don't click too far ahead of yourself. You're going to want to be clicking like this, maybe only 2 tiles ahead. That way you immediately step over, and then you can click forward to keep running and not really wasting any time. This trap I see a lot of people struggling with. It's not really difficult. All you have to do, I mean, the patterns are weird. You feel like there's not really any safe spots in between, but none of that matters, because if you time it right, and click right before the fire goes down, you can just one click run all the way through this trap, and it's just like nothing. This trap's an absolute pain. What I like to do is stand right here and wait on the closest tile. As soon as the sword gets back, I click through. The only thing that'll ruin this for you is if this tile that just lit up, this yellow tile here, or this yellow tile here lights up, you'll hit it and it'll teleport you back and pretty much guarantee that you get hit by the sword. If that happens, that's just unlucky pretty much. I would say you just click through once and hope that that doesn't happen. Sometimes it'll happen a bunch of times in a row, and it's just annoying. A longer double arrow trap here, and I'll try to make a good example of what I was talking about earlier about not clicking too far ahead of yourself. That way you can get over in time to dodge the arrow traps. Hopefully that's pretty clear for you guys. It's again something that you'll really get the hang of as you get better at Sepulcher. Here we have a Conjure Portal Frame, which is why you're carrying a rune pouch and the Hallowed Focus. You can go over there and enchant that to go over to the coffin. I breezed right through this gold sword trap. This gold sword spins very fast, or moves very fast, so it's kind of harder to one-click through, but much like the other sword, as long as if I'm over here starting, I would run right about now as soon as the sword gets back, and you'll beat it, or wait for the sword to get thrown and run now, right behind the sword. That way you won't take a hit. You can step off to the side in that portal little nook and be safe if you would like, or if you're like me and not looting the coffins, you can just run all the way through. You can see I'm going to run out of time here. I could use my token, but it's really not worth it. I'm not concerned. I'll just leave after this floor since I'm making this guide. Alright, this one is the Troublemaker. It's the hardest trap of the first 3 floors. We have a double arrow trap followed by this long hallway of flames. Now let's talk about the long hallway of flames first, because it is pretty much the easy part of this trap. I want you to understand that this part is easy. That way you can focus on the arrows, because that is all it takes to get through this trap every time. The fire, if we watch the pattern here, it goes all of the left ones go, and then all of the right ones go, and it alternates one tile safe, one tile not safe. In every cycle, the tile you're standing on, essentially, if it's safe for the cycle you're on, it won't be safe for the next flame cycle. If you're standing where the last cycle just went, like this, I'd stand right here on this flame, it'll be safe on the next flame cycle. So pretty much, to boil it down, all you need to do is click on where you last saw flame. So again, recommend looking at the markers on the ground, these little flame shadows, if you want to call them that, and click to there. A lot of people will like to step out to start dodging the arrows, so I'll step out, dodge this arrow. I'll wait for the next one, dodge the arrow. You can do this for as long as you like, just to get used to dodging the arrows. You don't want to be focusing on them. And then here we go. I have a good path to run. I clicked on where the fire is, and I'm looking to dodge the arrow. This middle space is safe. The middle 2 tiles here are very safe, so I can just, again, refocus on where the arrows are coming for me. I'll stand in a safe tile. In the next flame cycle, I'm going to click on one of the flame tiles, like this. Dodge the next set of arrows, and then I'm home free. When you come to the end of a floor that you didn't make it to in time to head down to the next floor, or the end of which you have the agility level to access, you can right-click on these obelisks in Quick Exit. That's how you leave the Sepulcher, and you'll get a big XP boost. One more quick tip for this final and most difficult trap of floor 3, with the long arrow hallway and the flames here. If you don't want to be stopping in the middle, like I showed in my first example where you're clicking on a flame, there's another possible option that I do sometimes and not always, and that is here you're going to step out, get ready for the arrows, and you need good timing with the fire traps on this one, but I'm going to wait for this one fire trap to be almost done, click through, and you can run all the way through to the safe spot. In this case, or in this way, you can pretty much do this whole trap not worrying about the fire at all, and only focusing on the arrows, and you can do that for this last set of 4 flame traps as well. As you can see, I'm just dodging the arrows here, and I'm going to wait for this flame to be out for, it's 1 to 2 ticks, and be ready to click. As long as you're clicking right before the fire trap goes down, you can run straight through the first 4, stop in the middle, run straight through the second 4. No farting around with the traps or the fire traps by standing in the middle and having to dodge arrows and worry about the timing. A lot of people view this way as easier, so thought I should mention it here. Alright, here is a path on floor 3 where, like I was saying about the instances, this is one that matters. If you come into this floor and you see that you get this path, you can immediately click to this area here, which is a safe zone. It's going to be a little harder to demonstrate because this is not an instant. Well, it was an instance where I was alone, but I didn't have the timing because I'm sitting here explaining it. But I'll try to see if I can make the timings work. Usually, you'll be right about here in the cycle. You'll click to the safe zone, and you will make it all the way through this trap. I think I may have done that perfectly. Yep, that is exactly what it'll look like when you come in. You come in, spawn, click anywhere in the middle between these fire traps, and you'll run right through. No need to worry about the fire traps. You'll make it through every time, so long as you are the only person in this instance, and you'll make it to the middle point here. The rest of it is just a one click through these fire traps whenever they're going down, and you'll come up to this fast sword. This fast sword you don't have to treat any differently than the other ones. You can run right through before or after it is thrown. There are some step offs to the side. You can stand on these candles or in this area here. If you feel like you're not going to make it and you want to just step off for a breather, you're welcome to do that. Alright, coming up to this trap is a bit of a pain because we have a double arrow trap and a whole lot of teleport tiles going on. My recommendation is to mostly ignore the teleport tiles and just focus on the arrow traps because the teleport tiles are more of a nuisance than anything, and the arrows are the only thing that can really kill you. As you can see, I stepped over that tile. If you want to, once you start getting good, I teleported. Once you start getting good at this trap, you can manage your clicks a little bit more and try to make sure you don't step on the yellow tiles to teleport you backwards, like I've just done, oops. And to do so, just like if I see one that's lit up in front of me, I'll step to the tile directly before it and then step past it using the 2 tiles per tick thing when you're sprinting. So I'll try to get a good example of that here. See, this tile's active, but I step right over it so I don't get teleported. Does that make sense? Here we have just a really short sword trap, nothing special about this one, you shouldn't have any problems. This flame trap here has 2 cycles, you can't one tick run all the way through it. That's why I have this tile marked. It's going to flame these 3 right in front of you, and then it's going to flame these 3 in the back. So what you're going to do is you're going to wait for the first 3 to flame like that, step up to this one tile here, wait for these 3 to flame, and then you're home free, just click right through. Coming up to another brazier here, and then you're hopping down to the same ending for this floor, which will always be the ending for floor 3, where you have this trap that we've already been over. Coming down to our first path here on the 4th floor, this is one that does have an instance timing. You spawn and there's this long flame trap. I have this tile marked. If I'm quick enough, you click directly to this tile and you'll make it every time. See, this one is where the timing is really, really nice. If you get the 1 tick perfect timing to that, you click to this tile and then through. This just lines you up so you'll never get hit by any of these lightning traps. And I'm gonna be breezing through this, I know. I'll take a second to stop here and explain what just happened. But this is the reason why you really like your own instance, because with that timing, I made it through this sword trap perfectly without having to wait very long. This is a really long sword trap that can only be beaten in really one method. So you have to wait for the entire cycle of the sword trap if you mess up the initial timing. Which isn't the end of the world, but when you're doing this a lot, it's nice to have these set timings in mind. It makes you have to think less, and it's just more efficient. So you saw I one-clicked to that middle of the fire trap. This fire trap only has one cycle. It's just the same thing every time. So if you mess up the timing, all you want to do is same thing. Click to that tile once the flames go down. Wait there. Click through. If you're starting on that exact tile that I have marked, you can click to the next tile I have marked and not worry about getting hit by the lightning trap. The lightning traps don't do anything but stun you, and you can just step right over them if, since they're in this star pattern here, you step right through them with your run on where you skip over the lightning tiles, and it's easy. The only reason you have to stop before this one is because if you were to just keep running, your tile would line up with these two lightning spots and you have a good chance of being stunned there. So you run from the middle of this fire trap all the way to that tile. As soon as you reach it, you can click up to right here. I'm going to need to hit shift and I'll mark this for you. You'll step up to the closest tile to this sword trap. And then the way you beat this sword trap, and this is pretty much the only way I ever recommend trying to do this sword trap and flame trap combo here, is you're going to wait for the sword to be thrown away from this guy. I'm going to wait for that cycle right here. Give me one moment. You'll notice how long this trap is and why I really like getting the timing right. So we're going to wait for this guy. We'll be standing right here on this tile. Wait for this guy to throw. As soon as it passes you, you click. You click all the way through to where I'm standing, any of this area, and your guy will run right through the fire, not get hit, and make it to where I am. That's pretty much the only way to beat that trap, so please do heed that warning. Then you'll come up to a long double arrow hallway here, which is nothing to stress about. You can step off to the side here if you want to. I don't know why you ever would. It's kind of just a time waste. Long double arrow trap, no teleporters or anything to mess you up though, so you should be fine just to run through and dodge, watching these statues' animations to see where the next set of arrows is coming. You'll come up to another bridge trap here. You can build over to that coffin if you'd like. If not, we're just going to head down to the second part of floor 4. Now, this trap is a very long sword throw that moves quite fast, followed by some teleport tiles, or combined with some teleport tiles and stun tiles. If I stand right here and click all the way through, you will make it so long as this tile I'm standing on right there in the middle doesn't light up and teleport you back. You'll make it all the way through. It's as easy as that. If that tile does, you know what? I'm going to get hit by this just to show you guys the alternate option there in a way to make that more consistent so you're not betting on if this tile is going to light up on you or not. What I like to do is I'll wait for the sword to get back, click all the way through. Here I click the blue tile and then back over. I clicked on this, I clicked wrong here. I clicked on the stun tile and it may actually punish me for it. Nope, I made it. But pretty much what you're doing there is just hopping from here to the blue tile, and then back to here, and then you're back. Oh, don't walk. You'll be standing here. Next tick, your player will be standing on the blue tile instead of this yellow tile that could light up and mess you up. You'll step to the blue. Worst case, the blue lights up and teleports you, and it'll kind of, you know, mess you up a little bit. You won't really realize where you are. It's kind of jarring when you get teleported. But yeah, that's pretty much how you beat this trap every time. You will start there, click all the way through. Once you get to this tile here, click the blue, click back over, and then you're back on your timing. You just keep running straight, and you'll make it all the way through, never stepping on a stun tile, and never stepping on a yellow tile. Pretty easy once you get the hang of it. And then our final trap here of floor 4 is just another double arrow trap with some teleporters. There are a lot of teleport tiles that are lit up on this one, so it is just annoying. But like the other double arrow traps with teleport tiles, you kind of just aim to ignore the teleport tiles if you can and dodge the arrow traps, and you'll make it through just fine. Simply line up with the row. This is on both sides. This is on both sides of the end of floor 4. There are only 2 paths here. So you want to line yourself up with these teleport tiles, and you can click through. That way you're just jumping over all of them and don't have to worry about stepping on any of them. Pretty simple. Then you come through here, squeeze through the gate, and you've finished floor 4 on this path. Alright, very nice. We've gotten the only other path here that you can get on floor 4, which is the second path. And it's going to spawn you in front of some lightning traps. I assume these are just to introduce you to the concept of a lightning trap. And I'll show you, if you step in the lightning trap, you'll just get stunned and not be able to move for a brief amount of time. The way you'll get through all of these ones without getting stunned is stand right before this first one, and you can click all the way through. Your guy will skip over all of the stun tiles, and you run up to this sword trap with blue teleport tiles. The blue teleport tiles on this trap are pretty much useless. You don't have to worry about them, because it acts just as any other sword trap. You'll wait till now, I can click through and I'll be safe, or wait till right after it gets thrown, I'll click through and be safe. Just like this. I will actually get hit intentionally here to get sent back, or I guess I'll just run all the way back because I missed the sword. I would like it to hit me here. Thank you. And I'll just show you that you can also try to use these blue teleport tiles to skip over the incoming sword. So I'll step here, it skips over, you get a couple immunity frames after you teleport from either a blue tile or a yellow tile. So I can use that teleport when it's coming at me to save a little bit of time, skip over, and make it through without having to wait for the full cycle of the sword. Okay, here is a very long double arrow hallway, probably the longest double arrow hallway I believe, at least up to this point, with a lot of teleporter traps. And this one's just a nuisance with the teleporters. Just like the other arrow traps though, you're going to want to mostly ignore the teleporters and run through, just dodging the arrows and focusing on that bit. You come up to the last bit here with lots of yellow teleporters. These will often mess you up and teleport you backwards. And we're coming up to what is by far my least favorite trap in Hallowed Sepulcher. This is on a 5 cycle. It has 5 different patterns. Most of the time it is alternating. These guys will fire and these guys will fire. So much like the last trap on floor 5, or on floor 3, sorry. You want to just click on where the fire last was and you'll be safe. The thing is, on the 5th cycle, as it did it a little bit ago, but I'll wait it out here, all of these guys fire, so you are guaranteed to die. There's a couple ways to tell, there it is, a couple ways to tell where you are in that cycle. For one, if it's of the first 2 attacks in the loop here in the 5 cycle, you'll see that these tiles here, here, and here, 1, 2, and 3, or just 1 and 2, will be safe. Like these first guys just don't fire for the first couple traps in the cycle, or first couple cycles in this 5 cycle trap. That way you can kind of tell if you're going to make it or not. You need to stop at least twice most of the time when running this. But it is possible to do in one if you can make it to this middle tile. This one, it's kind of hard to fully explain. You really need to get the feel for it for running a ton of it. One thing that I did for a long time is I just waited for the full kill cycle right here. And then you click out to this tile here. And you are safe. And then you'll click to the middle tile or any of the tiles that have flame on them, really. And then you can click all the way through. So that's pretty much the easiest way if you want to be learning this trap and are sick of getting the timings wrong or having to mess up with the 5 tick cycle, the 5 flame cycle of this trap. Yeah, I recommend that. Wait for the full flame cycle, click to this tile, wait, click to the middle tile, and then click out. That is all you really have to do to get past that one. It's my least favorite trap in all of Hallowed Sepulcher, just because it has that insta-kill, essentially. Here we have arrow hallway with some teleporters that are mostly able to be ignored. You're going to want to run through. You come up to these stun tiles. These are fine. You can just click around in the stun tiles. As long as you're not standing on any of them, you can jump to any of the other ones without stepping on them at all. Your tile will skip to any of these free spaces, and you can really just dance around in these if you want. You mostly can just ignore them, so long as you aren't clicking directly on any of them. We're going to finish out this double arrow hallway. You can conjure that portal and go loot the chests. It's the one from the other path you can bridge over to. Hop down to the bottom layer here, and we have a double arrow with a long sword trap. And I'm going to do this the harder way. The easy way is wait for the sword to come back, and now I'd run out and just dodge the arrow trap, and as long as I keep good speed, I'll make it past where the sword stops. If you're not quick enough, you can run behind the sword, in which case you're like, okay, well the sword's fully blocking. fully blocking my path, so I can't make that unless I'm running in front of the sword, right? But there are these 6 blue tiles here that you can try to use to skip you over the sword, and I'll demonstrate it here. I'll wait for the sword to throw, step out into the middle, so I'm dodging the next set of arrows, and then if I'm quick, I can just run up here and try to hit one of these highlighted blue tiles like that, skip over the sword, and then I am out. Otherwise, I'm going to get hit by this arrow on purpose. And I will cut here, and I'll wait for the sword to return and show you the other way where you're just trying to beat the sword. So here's the other way. I'm going to wait for the sword to come back, run all the way across to dodge the arrows that are coming. And then as long as I am quick, I can beat this, and I won't have to do that sword skip at the end. I hit a blue tile, but even if I didn't hit that blue tile, I would have been fine to just run past where the sword stops, and then I'm home free as long as I can continue dodging these arrows. And there we come to another set of these teleporters. Same thing as the other side. Just line up with them so you can hop over all of the rows. And there you are. That is floor 4 completed. Alright, so we're about ready to go down to floor 5, which is by far the most difficult and, in my opinion, the most fun floor in all of Hallowed Sepulcher. There's only one path on this, so I'll try to get it done in one sitting here, one clip. One thing that's good to note is your time carries over in between floors. So you want to run the first 4 floors as fast as possible, and if you're intending to make it to the Grand Coffin, I recommend not looting coffins on any of the previous floors and just waiting till floor 5 to loot. That way you'll make it to the end where I'm standing of floor 4 with as much time left as possible. Each time you go down to a new floor, 2 minutes is added to whatever time is left on your current timer. So when I go down to this 5th floor, I will have 5 minutes 48 seconds to make it to the Grand Coffin, which is usually plenty for me. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I generally will bring one of these hallowed tokens. If I'm running out of time, I can pop it and it'll add, I think it's 1 or 2 minutes to the current timer, just to make sure I have time to make it through. So I'm going to restore my run energy before I go down, and we will get to talking about it. Before I go down, let's mention there is a cycle I like to try to hit where I get through the first trap with only 2 clicks, 1 stoppage. That way I can make it to the next sword trap on a timing that I'm comfortable with. So let's get in there and I can show you what I mean by that. So the flame traps on the 5th floor move faster. The other traps are out for 2 ticks. These ones are only out for 1. They're out for 1. I like to run to this marked tile here in the middle. Flame out, click. You want to click as soon as you see the flame fully out pretty much on these to make it through. Now I'll run up to this long sword trap as soon as it's back. This is the timing I like. I just click all the way and I run. Now I have to hit the blue tile that's lit up on this last thing. I didn't make it. I guess it's because I'm talking. That or somebody else has loaded this floor, which has messed me up. Unfortunate, but I'll show you again here. Sword comes all the way back. I'll click as soon as I can. And you need to hit 1 blue teleport. I hit that blue teleport, and now I can run all the way past the sword. As long as you hit any of the blue teleports on the path, you can make it past this sword trap. There is this cutout to the left if you don't feel like you're quite going to beat the sword. That is fine to use if you think it's necessary, but hopefully that is good enough explanation. The other option is to use one of those blue teleport tiles to just skip over the sword as it's coming back. That is a perfectly valid way to do that. It's just a little bit more stressful to me than the way I like to do it. So try to approach that sword as best you can, and it should be as easy as what I just showed. Looted that coffin. I come over here to this teleporter and double sword or double arrow trap. This one has a lot of active teleporters that can just screw you up. I'm clicking through as best I can here, step on the blue, wait for the next arrow trap so that I know I'm safe and I get through. Simple enough there. All you really do is focus on the arrows like most of them. So this trap is an interesting, very long trap. The trap's end is way over there, so if you mess this up, you'll get teleported all the way back to where I'm standing, and it's quite annoying. What you're going to do is wait for the flame to go over one of the tiles I've marked here. I'm going to click all the way to this one, since that's where the flame is now. I make it out here, wait for the flame, click. I click in between all of these, so I line up here, and then I can click all the way over here on this one, and I'll make it perfectly timed so that I'm safe here. Click on this tile I'm marked here. I almost messed up. Fire, and then click all the way through. You have to tick perfect click this. As soon as you see the fire, click all the way through and you are safe. Here comes another long sword trap with teleporters. This is much like the one earlier on this floor. I could be out there right now trying to skip it by hitting that blue tile, but I can also just stand back here and run, and the same thing goes as long as you hit one of these blue skips and you're fast, you can get all the way over here to the safe zone and make it through that sword trap without having to worry about blue tile skipping over the sword. Grapple here, like I haven't shown on the other floors, I am looting these coffins because the floor 5 coffins have better chances at the high loot rolls. Oh, and I got poisoned. Simple, that's a good show of what it's like to be poisoned when you're opening a coffin. Swing back over, and when I get back, or when I land, I'm going to cure my poison here with an anti-poison. And then hop down, and we only have 2 more traps remaining in all of Hallowed Sepulcher. Long arrow hallway with teleporters and stuns here. Much like the other stun tiles, all of these are staggered by 1, so as long as you're standing right up against them, you can just walk right through them using the running 2 tiles mechanic. I'm focusing on the arrow traps as always, and just trying to get through. Alright, there's a cycle I can get through. I'm going to be safe by dodging 1 more arrow trap, and then I'm going to make it all the way through this trap. That's another checkpoint for us. And then here is the final trap, aka easiest trap in the game, aka not really, it's the hardest trap in the game. But it's not too bad. Long arrow hallway with some staggered flames, much like floor 3's ending. There's 1 tile safe, 1 tile not safe. And it alternates between left and right. So same thing, I'm going to click here on the flame, dodge the next arrow trap, click through, and get ready to dodge the incoming arrows again. So that's how you get through the first bit. I'm focusing on where the next arrows are coming. I know I'm safe to walk up here. There are some random flame traps here. I have this one marked because I kept on running into it when I was learning in 5th floor. Sometimes it doesn't fire, but most of the time just act like it's going to fire, wait for the next flame cycle to step through that area. Come up to the next little random flame trap here, walk right through. Easy enough. Line myself up with the next arrows, walk through the lightning. Kind of take it 1 step at a time. 1 little segment at a time is the best way to do this. Much like the other flame traps, these ones are staggered, except for the end. The end 2 always fire, which is really annoying. What you're going to want to do, same thing, click on the fire you can furthest fire up you're comfortable getting to, dodge the arrows, and then click all the way through if you can. You can 2-cycle that right there. Now I'm up here by the final arrow traps, I dodge the next one, and I'm through. I make it look quite easy, but it is a little bit difficult. I'm going to pop this just to give myself full time here. Why not? Oh, it added 1 minute. Okay. Because I have some things I want to talk about, and since I did so much explaining, my time was running a little bit low. This coffin is one that you should always loot right here, because it gives you a double pull at the loot table. We'll see what we get here. Got it open, and you can see I got hollowed marks, which don't really count as one of the loot rolls, but I got monkfish and an adamant plate body. Two of the lowest things I can get, really. But yeah, that one giving you 2 loot rolls is what's really nice. So, I mean, best thing you can get is 2 sets of like 100 or so soul runes. That'll give you a lot of money. And 2 sets of maybe strange old lockpicks if you're extremely lucky. And there you have it. You just walk over and head here, and there you are. You're at the Grand Coffin. Can we get a Ring of Endurance for the tutorial? Please, please, please. Ah, some Renar seeds. But there you are. That is all of Hallowed Sepulcher. Explained all of the traps and everything. I hope this was of use to you guys. If there are any questions, please let me know in the comments. I'm more than willing to help anybody out that is struggling. If you know something that I missed in this guide, please let me know, and I'll add it to the description of this video. Obviously, this was quite a long video. It took me a while to make, so thank you very much for watching. If this helped you, please hit like, please subscribe, and thanks again for watching.